first time since the big announcement, Jim Boeheim addresses the Syracuse shakeup.
And I do regret that these violations happened, and I apologize for any harm it has brought to my players, the university, or embarrassment it has caused to our alumni, students, and fans.
It was a standing room only day today as the head coach of the men's basketball team talked about the announcement of his retirement and the NCAA report into his basketball program.
Coach Jim Boeheim also talked about the university's decision to appeal some of those sanctions against him by the NCAA and also the charge of academic fraud within his program. Now, we were there this morning as Coach Boeheim opened up with his remarks, calling the sanctions against him unduly harsh. On his retirement, he says 3 years is the right time to step away. Well, new at 5, Alex Dunbar is live at the Mello Center with a closer look at what the longtime head coach revealed today. Alex.
Well, Matt, Jim Boeheim was both defiant and apologetic today at his press conference, acknowledging that violations had occurred, but saying that the NCAA's sanctions were unduly harsh. In a standing room only crowd of photographers and reporters, Jim Boeheim said he was ultimately responsible for NCAA violations committed by his basketball staff, but said the NCAA's claim that he did not promote an atmosphere of compliance was untrue.
I meet with my staff on an almost daily basis to discuss compliance matters. My assistant coaches and staff members know the NCAA rules and know that we must follow them.
Boeheim said he will appeal the NCAA's 9-game suspension he received as part of the sanctions, and said he believes the NCAA disregarded his decades of promoting compliance in the basketball program. Boeheim said he did not know about allegations that a YMCA employee was improperly paying athletes until after the NCAA started its investigation. The NCAA report cites other cases where they believe athletes received improper assistance on schoolwork. Boeheim believes former center Fab Melo was the only documented case of academic fraud.
These violations occurred because our former director of basketball operations took it upon himself to provide impermissible academic assistance.
A former academic support services staffer told the NCAA they were hesitant to report questionable academic work because they believed the basketball program received special treatment. Boeheim disagreed with that view.
I've been told that I intimidate people. I don't do it intentionally.
And Jim Boeheim said that if his appeal of his 9-game suspension for next season is unsuccessful, he will voluntarily go without pay for those games. And coming up tonight at 6, we'll hear much more from Jim Boeheim about Fab Melo and that very controversial grade change he received to regain eligibility. For now, reporting from the Carmelo Anthony Center at Syracuse University, I'm Alex Dunbar.
Thank you, Alex. Worth noting, by the way, the coach talked for more than an hour, taking questions well past the time that was expected and really called for by the handlers at the university.
Well, our team coverage continues tonight with our sports director, Nico Tamurian, here now to tell us what the future of the basketball program looks like as it prepares to say goodbye to its longtime head coach in a couple of years. Nico.
No question, Matt and Megan, for beyond 3 years from now is anybody's guess. Anytime somebody spends more than 50 years on a campus and their job is done, well, that'll cause drastic changes. And now we no longer have confirmation that Mike Hopkins will be the next coach. He might still be, but Coach Boeheim is saying it's up to the chancellor, and that was not what today was about. Today's press conference was all about, as Alex told us, Boeheim's rebuttal to the NCAA and to put an official end date on Coach Boeheim's career. Boeheim says he will be in charge 3 more seasons. After that, it will be time to retire. And while he says the goal, winning, does not change at all, this has given Coach an opportunity to think about what exactly his legacy is and what it will be going forward.
Everybody has their opinion, and everybody will have their opinion about my coaching ability. That's part of my legacy. The other part, I hope, of my legacy that I care about is that people in this community think, in this nation who are Syracuse people, think that I've been loyal to Syracuse University, that I've done everything I can for Syracuse University, and that I've done everything I can for my community. And I've done everything that I can, and some people will hold me accountable to that or what I haven't done, but I'm comfortable. And what I really care about is the opinion of those people.
Certainly, Coach Boeheim putting much more stock into what Central New Yorkers will think now and going forward. Of course, the national media not very happy with Jim Boeheim these days.
And certainly a lot of people sort of wonder, what's it like at home? You know, behind closed doors. What do he and his wife say to
That's
each
a
other?
good point. Well, attending the news conference today, Coach Boeheim's wife, Julie, she has seen how the weight of this investigation has really weighed on her husband. I caught up with her in the Dome.
You stood and watched your husband. What were your thoughts while he was talking?
A lot of relief to finally hear him speak his mind and his piece and his position on this. It's clear the guy is passionate about what he does, passionate about his players, passionate about the program at Syracuse University, and he finally got to say his piece.
How has this affected him over a long period of time? Has it been weighing on his mind?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's gone to bed every night for 8 years thinking about this and waiting and waiting and waiting. So finally, we know where we are in this and we can move forward. And you know, I just said, he's not ranting and raving. He isn't angry. He isn't crying. He's motivated. He is so inspired to pick up the pieces and move forward.
What about the retirement? It's a question that's been coming up for years. How do you feel about this timeline?
You know, I can't. It's not a big deal. Everybody's making this such a big deal. And I think, you know, he was a day-to-day guy, but that was because of this. What if he had retired in the middle before we ever handed this down? A new coach comes in and this comes in. You know, he's the kind of guy that wants to see this through. And that's the timeline.
Is it okay to have him home more then, 3 years from now?
Not really, no. He'll be busy. The guy has more energy than I do or anyone ever.
Yeah, Julie Boeheim, the coach's wife. Now, Chancellor Ken Syverud is glad to finally be able to talk about this NCAA investigation, although he says the release of the infractions report does not provide any relief because there's still so much work to be done. When I talked with him this morning, he defended the importance of the athletics program being an integral part of a thriving university.
This has been a hard time that has led some to question whether the highest level intercollegiate athletics belongs at Syracuse University and belongs here. And I believe it does, and it will.
Now, coming up on NBC 3 News at 5:30, you'll hear much more from this interview. Among the key topics, the decision to remove Darryl Gross as athletic director and to talk with retirement with Coach Jim Boeheim. We'll be bringing you much more on the Boeheim and the Syracuse University shakeup coming up. Also at 5:30, we're going to hear from Alex Rusilla what fans are saying about the news conference and what the coach had to say today. We'll also hear more from that interview with the Chancellor. Then at 6 o'clock, Alex Dunbar will touch more on the morning news conference as it relates to Fab Melo's role in the violations. And one more note, we'll talk about Mike Hopkins and his future as the potential head coach.
An alert tonight out of Madison County as 3 barn animals test positive for rabies. Health officials say a cow and a cat tested positive in the town of Lebanon. A cat also tested positive in Hamilton. These are the first confirmed animals to be infected with rabies this year in Madison County. Farmers and pet owners are encouraged to make sure their animals are vaccinated. An Oswego mother is arrested in Fulton, accused of trying to sell prescription drugs while her 1-year-old baby was with her. The Oswego County Drug Task Force searched 22-year-old Shayna Hahn's car last week. They found 29 hydrocodone pills in her car and say Hahn was going to sell them. Tonight she faces charges of possession of a controlled substance with the intent to sell and child endangerment.
Ithaca police have arrested a man after they found he had computers that were recently stolen from the Beverly Martin Elementary School. Police say 18-year-old Dylan Goodman had the 5 Apple MacBook computers that were taken from the school. Goodman was arraigned, charged with criminal possession of stolen property. He could ultimately face more charges. Hundreds of New York State troopers gathered at Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Utica this morning for the funeral of Trooper Donald Fredenberg. Fredenberg died during a basic training run in Albany last week. An autopsy revealed he had almost a complete blockage in a coronary artery that went undiagnosed until he died. Fredenberg is survived by his wife, his brother, and his parents. Top military officials will visit Fort Drum tomorrow to hear from the community about the impact of the Army post. Fort Drum is one of the 10 largest bases where the Army says it might need to cut up to 16,000 employees for federal budget cuts. Thousands are expected to attend the rally that begins tomorrow evening at 5.
Still ahead on NBC 3 News at 5. More witnesses take the stand today in the murder trial of Dr. Robert Newlander. And we hear from the medical examiner who originally labeled Leslie's death an accident, along with a nationally renowned expert. We'll be live outside the courthouse with new details in today's testimony.
Happening right now.
I'd like the community to know that Syracuse University is dedicated to being here and to being successful in what it undertakes to do, both in academics and in athletics.
We go up close tonight with Chancellor Kent Syverud. He discusses what the university must do as it moves forward from the NCAA report.
He was very direct, very sincere. I think Jim Boeheim was a very loyal person.
And fans respond to Boeheim's press conference tonight, why fans say they appreciated his honesty while addressing the media.
And there are more Uber taxis than ever in New York City, but coming up, we'll tell you why the iconic yellow cab remains king.
But first tonight, our coverage of the major shakeup with SU athletics continues. The future of the basketball program is now dealing with the penalties of the NCAA investigation released 2 weeks ago. Head coach Jim Boeheim announced he will retire after 3 more seasons. And today we spoke directly with Chancellor Kent Syverud about the bombshells that are rocking the community. Matt sat down with him today. Matt?
Well, Megan, Chancellor Syverud talked about the importance of attention to detail when it comes to athletics meeting a high standard regarding academics. He says the university is already on an improved course compared to a few years ago when all these violations occurred. Amid all the shakeup with Syracuse University, I talked with the chancellor. Out of all the issues in the infractions report, it was the effort to keep star center Fab Melo eligible back in 2012 that concerns the chancellor the most.
I've been mostly focused on academic integrity issues arising from incidents that occurred in 2012 and how we create a culture of compliance on the athletic side and integrity on the academic side going forward, so no one questions Syracuse as being a university that has the highest standards in those areas.
Why is that important to you? You know, people go to the Carrier Dome, they pack it with 30,000 people, cheer for great games, winning teams, championship teams. They don't seem to be concerned about academics while they're watching the game. Why do you think that's important?
Well, our primary mission is to our students and to the student experience. And what our students come here for is an all-round experience, sure, that includes athletics and seeing great teams compete, but also getting a degree that means something.
To ensure that academics are a priority in athletics, the chancellor removed Dr. Dale Gross as athletic director. Chancellor Syverud says Gross's talents will be better utilized in marketing the university and raising money. Then there's the Hall of Fame coach. Despite the stinging NCAA report, the chancellor praised Coach Boeheim for his overall body of work and loyalty to the university and community.
I have had a lot of conversations with Coach Boeheim before and after the issuance of the report. And the decision on Coach Boeheim to announce his retirement in 3 years was a mutual decision that was based on what was fair to all the stakeholders in Syracuse athletics. And those include the coaches, the potential students that we would recruit, and the current students here. It's very unusual for a coach to announce a retirement this far in advance. Most coaches don't, because it's often not in their interest to do so. That Jim was willing to do that shows that he put some of those stakeholders ahead of himself and their ability to plan in a fair way around it. And I think that's a good solution and an appropriate solution.
And finally, how would you like the community to view this institution as you start to develop more and more your academic vision and what this institution is going to mean for Central New York in the future?
I'd like the community to know that Syracuse University is dedicated to being here and to being successful in what it undertakes to do, both in academics and in athletics. We can be so much more than we are now, and we are now a fine university. Athletics is going to be an integral part of that.
The chancellor has heard complaints from some of the university community actually questioning whether athletics even belongs at Syracuse University, but he firmly believes that it does. They need to be held, though, to the highest of standards. You can watch that full interview, by the way, on our website, cnycentral.com.
And he has only been here for a little over a year, so a lot has happened under the short time he's been here.
And this was truly dropped right in his lap when he came in the door.
Well, tonight, our team coverage of the SU shakeup continues as we hear from fans as they speak out about Boeheim's press conference. Here's Alex Russillo.
Well, many fans are packing into Tully's for the first week of the NCAA tournament. Many more fans are reacting to the Jim Boeheim press conference from earlier this morning, where he touched on just about everything. As Jim Boeheim stepped up to the podium, many Orange diehards listened intently, hanging on his every word.
I feel he was as honest as days long. He was to the point.
He was very direct, very sincere. I think Jim Boeheim was a very loyal person.
It was refreshing that he was honest and he didn't give the canned answers that you normally get.
After an hour of going back and forth with the media, Orange fans are walking away with a much better feeling about the team moving forward. After hearing from the coach directly about how he wants to see this NCAA investigation to the end by staying on for 3 more years.
I think Jim Boeheim's all about loyalty and integrity, and I think that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that he cares more about his name and his legacy than how many wins he gets.
He wants to be there. He wants to fulfill the next 3 years as a very positive coach, and I think that will bring a lot of prospects.
Another critical part of this press conference for fans was Boeheim's adamant stance on the penalties issued against the school, saying they're too harsh as the university moves forward with an appeal.
I thought that was pretty accurate. I don't think I've seen where anybody, except for maybe Penn State, got hit that hard with penalties, and even some of those penalties were taken back after lawsuits.
For many fans, their attention now turns to the school's appeal process, which will be moving forward this summer. For now, we're reporting from Tully's on Erie Boulevard. I'm Alex Rusilla. Back to you.
People seem to be standing behind their coach.
Yeah, and of course, everybody's watching the NCAA tournament game. Syracuse not in it this year. Still a lot of fun to watch and cheer on your bracket.
That's right. Here's what's happening across New York right now. Tonight, a Hancock man is behind bars in connection with a burglary and possessing several explosives. State police arrested 24-year-old Stephen Esselin after an investigation into a burglary at an estate in Hancock. The investigation led police to Esselin's home, where they found a number of explosives, including 12 electric detonators and 4 M60 igniters. Tonight, he's being held in the Delaware County Jail on $50,000 cash bail.
A 16 is now behind bars in connection to the beating caught on tape at a New York City McDonald's. Police say a 15-year-old girl was arrested Wednesday, charged with robbery and gang assault. 2 other 17-year-old girls, along with a 14, 15, and 16-year-old, were all arrested for being part of that March 9th beating. New York City's iconic yellow cabs are now taking a backseat to Uber.
Uber cars now outnumber the number of yellow cabs. The city's Taxi and Limousine Commission released new figures showing Uber cabs having more than 14,000 cars, while yellow cabs has around 13,000 vehicles. But Uber isn't completely taking over New York City. For every Uber ride in the Big Apple, there are 10 more yellow cab rides, largely because Uber drivers work part-time, while yellow taxis are 24 hours a day.
Coming up on NBC 3 News at 5:30.
But I never expected, and I certainly never encouraged, these individuals to cheat.
More on what Coach Boeheim had to say about the NCAA report and what this could mean for his legacy as a Hall of Fame coach.
Then a Syracuse woman accused of injuring her 2 children after she flips her van while trying to run down her ex-boyfriend. So what caused her to go over the edge? We have court papers we've obtained tonight. We'll get a live report from Samantha German coming up.
I believe that the penalty imposed on the university as a whole, and me individually, are unduly harsh.
This has been a hard time that has led some to question whether the highest level intercollegiate athletics belongs at Syracuse University and belongs here.
He's gone to bed every night for 8 years thinking about this and waiting and waiting and waiting. So finally, we know where we are in this and we can move forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Coleman.
I'm Matt Mulcahy. We have live team coverage from the SU Hill tonight regarding SU coach Jim Boeheim's news conference, where he talked about a number of issues, including the NCAA report and his retirement. Alex Dunbar was at the news conference. He's live at the Mello Center right now. We're going to get to Alex in just a moment.
But first tonight, some of the highlights. Today, head coach Jim Boeheim spoke publicly for the first time about the NCAA investigation and his retirement plans. Coach Boeheim does plan to appeal the academic violations from the NCAA's investigation.
Now, the coach also spoke in depth about the academic portion of those violations, saying the only player who may have committed academic fraud, in his view, is Fab Melo. However, he says as a whole, the university strives to follow the rules.
This is far from a program where student athletes freely committed academic fraud.
Tonight, Alex Dunbar joined us once again from the Mello Center, which of course is the headquarters for the SU basketball program, with more on the news conference where he talked about these academic problems. Alex?
Well, Matt, at the press conference today, Jim Boeheim took responsibility for NCAA violations that happened under his watch, but also said the NCAA disregarded all the efforts he's made to promote compliance. At the center of the NCAA's case and Jim Boeheim's disagreement with it is Fab Melo and a controversial grade change he received to regain his eligibility. Jim Boeheim did not refer to Fab Melo by name, but it was clear he is bothered by how the NCAA report portrays Melo's case as special treatment. In the report, it says Melo was allowed to submit a new paper about his own life experiences for a class he had already completed and receive a better grade. The NCAA's report says high-level administrators were involved in pushing that grade change through and restoring Fab Melo's eligibility.
I called no one. I didn't call a soul. That's not my job. I do not interfere in the academics.
Boeheim said grade changes are available to all students, not just athletes.
It's my responsibility to at least inform every guy, well, you have to get a grade change if you want to be eligible.
The NCAA says computer data on the report showed it was done by basketball department staff, not Fab Melo. Boeheim said staff just added citations to a report Fab Melo could have completed in a few hours.
And I feel that the NCAA is punishing current and future student athletes for the conduct of a few individuals who are no longer associated in any way with Syracuse University.
The NCAA accused Boeheim and SU of willful and blatant disregard for rules. Boeheim strongly disagreed with that assessment, saying he and his staff meet monthly with the compliance office to make sure they are on track.
I was concerned with the welfare of this student athlete, but I never expected, and I certainly never encouraged, these individuals to cheat.
And Jim Boeheim said he believes that Fab Melo's case was the only one of academic fraud. In their report, the NCAA cited 2 other unnamed student athletes who they believe received impermissible assistance. For now, reporting from the Carmelo Anthony Center at Syracuse University, I'm Alex Dunbar.
Well, thank you, Alex. We appreciate the coverage. Now, with Coach Boeheim retiring now in 3 years, Darryl Gross is out as athletic director and a number of sanctions against the team. Many are wondering, what does this mean for the future of SU athletics?
Who will take over as head coach, and how will this affect recruiting? These are some of the things the university will now have to address. Right now, our sports director, Nico Tamarian, joins us here to help answer some of those questions. Nico?
No question, and as you both mentioned, at 5:30, Syracuse losing B.J. Johnson, who really played well at the end of the season, but that affects recruiting in the sense that it potentially opens up a scholarship for this year, perhaps for Rochester native Thomas Bryant, or it helps SU brace for the scholarship reduction coming in the next couple of years. But how will recruiting be affected by Boeheim's timeline of retiring and, of course, the rest of the NCAA sanctions? Now, I asked Coach Boeheim about the support he's been getting on the recruiting trail, say the last 2 weeks or so. He says it's virtually unchanged. This program will always have the attention of the top kids in the country based on its pedigree.
I appreciate the support that we have here, that we've always had here, and that we continue to have. And I think the biggest thing to me is, there's no goal change here. We're going to try to win everything we can every year. There's nothing new. And the biggest response I've had initially, and really for a while, is players want to come here, they want to play for me, they want to play for Mike because they know he's a great coach, and that Adrian's here and Jerry McNamara, and that's why players want to come to Syracuse. It's a great school with a great reputation.
So there you have it, everything in the forefront now, and coming up in sports in just a few minutes, we're going to take a look at everything regarding Jim Boeheim, the timeline for retirement, and even his legacy as we go forward.
This will be a big change for our community. Jim Boeheim has been here for a long, long time.
That's true, and we're still yet to see how his appeal will turn out he would like to avoid that suspension that's coming his way next January.
No question. The appeal, I would imagine, tomorrow's the deadline for that, and we'll see if the penalties are reduced at all.
Thank you, Nico. Now, Chancellor Kent Syverud is glad to finally be able to talk about the NCAA investigation, although he says the release of the infractions report does not really provide him relief because there's still a great deal of work to do. I asked Chancellor Syverud why there was no mention of Coach Boeheim's successor on the release announcing his retirement.
You did not mention who will take his position after 3 years. Was Mike Hopkins purposely left out of that news release, or for any particular reason?
No, Mike Hopkins was not purposely left out. I think the world of Coach Hopkins. I think he's been loyal and effective at Syracuse University. Candidly, we've got a head coach, and we've got a head coach for the next 3 years, and we have many issues to deal with in connection with the NCAA report. I think there's going to be plenty of time to work with Coach Hopkins and with Coach Boeheim and with the Board of Trustees on succession planning.
Now, late today, Mike Hopkins tried to ease the concerns of those wondering if he's still the next head coach in waiting. Late this afternoon, he tweeted this out saying, "Don't read too much in anything that's been said. I've been in conversations with the Chancellor and feel very comfortable with our conversations." That's Mike Hopkins.
Now, in addition to the Chancellor, we also had the opportunity to talk to Coach Boeheim's wife, Julie. She talked about the toll the investigation has taken on her husband.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's gone to bed every night for 8 years thinking about this and waiting and waiting and waiting. So finally, we know where we are in this and we can move forward. And you know, I just said, he's not ranting and raving. He isn't angry. He isn't crying. He's motivated. He is so inspired to pick up the pieces and move forward.
She also says the 3-year timeline on Jim Boeheim's retirement is longer than what they have discussed in the past. Now, our coverage continues on CNYCentral.com. Right now, you can watch the entire interview with the Chancellor, also the whole news conference Jim Boeheim held today, and our interview with Julie, who, as she just said, is ready to move forward. It's all right now at CNYCentral.com.
Let's get a quick check on our weather now. Mike Perkins is in for Wayne tonight after a sunny afternoon. Mike?
Well, man, the temperatures have been on a quite chilly side. We're at 31 degrees right now, but this sunshine sure does make up for it. Stanley Law Skywatch live over the city of Syracuse, brought to us by Adirondack Furniture. The highway's nice and dry, so loved ones should be on home on time on this Thursday. Let's show you the satellite radar. That beautiful sunshine will be replaced with clouds tomorrow morning coming in from the southwest. It looks like some snow as well for our Friday. At times, it'll be off and on and generally light. So this is not going to have a big impact here in Syracuse. In fact, some rain showers could even mix in. Now, our fastcast shows 26 degrees, a few high thin clouds at 8 o'clock. Our overnight low temperature, it's still on the chilly to cold side. We are going to see slightly better temperatures tomorrow. We're 5 degrees warmer than today at 37 degrees, and that's why there could be some mixed precipitation. Look for a cloudy day. Morning commute should be dry, and then we get the periods of light snow mixing with some rain showers in spots during the afternoon. We'll talk about accumulations with this and even warmer weather for Saturday, the 7-day.
All right, Mike, thank you. Well, right now, police are investigating a bank robbery in Jamesville. It's the second heist at the same branch in a month. Happened at the M&T Bank off Route 173. Our crew on the scene also noted police activity near the Glenlock Inn and near the B&B Lumber on Solvay Road. Right now, investigators have just released this surveillance pictures from inside the M&T Bank in Jamesville. If you know the suspect, contact Onondaga County Sheriff's deputies.
Developing news tonight as the missing North Syracuse man we first told you about Monday has been found safe. Police say the circumstances of 58-year-old Scott Brisson's disappearance 2 weeks ago were suspicious. After getting a call of a possible sighting at Destiny, mall security was notified. They found Brisson sitting on a bench there. He was not hurt, but he was taken to a hospital for evaluation.
Remembering Trooper Donald Fredenberg, hundreds of police officers, family, and friends filled Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Utica this morning for the funeral of the 23-year-old state trooper who died last week during a basic training run in Albany. An autopsy found he had a 95% blockage in an artery that went undiagnosed until his death. Fredenberg is survived by his wife Angela, his brother Adam, and his parents.
Another round of testimony in the murder trial of Dr. Robert Newlander. He's accused of killing his wife.
Tonight, we're hearing more details about what may have taken place inside their home. Still to come, one of the investigators takes the stand, describing the disturbing scene at the Newlander home. And for the first time, we hear from the Onondaga County medical examiner who originally labeled Leslie's death